like getting to learn what's over here. We did. I think in that thing on the Rishash, we really did learn a lot. I did learned a lot. Now here we're going to go back. It's probably where we should have started because every year when Sphera comes, I completely forget what's in this book. So we're on Kavanas Havaya the Birchas Haomer. Shehi Kavanas Havlos Adamim. That's a place where where we need to begin. And let's say what it says. That would be number Samach Bet. So there's a few things here I don't understand 100%, but do the best I can. It's a Baruch Atah Hashem. That phrase, Yekavin Bezu. When you say that phrase, he said Bezu Havaya B'Shem Ma. Now, why will we do that? He said, and he explains it. He spells it out. Yanki Zaisa Bracha Hi Kula Bezah, because this bracha is going to call to Zah, refers to Zeranpin, who is Ma. Kevin Shugavanas Birchas Zu Haim Hamshachas the Zah. So that's what it is. We're extending down to Zah. Yikavin Ba as Avaya B'Milui Ma Kazeh. So he shows it Shuhu Milui Misyaches Lazah. But the Kach the Kavin the Kalo B'Shem Zerah Be'eser Shemos Shel Ma Da'alafim. So therefore, what you're going to have in the Siddur and the Bracha is you're going to see the generation of 10 Maz of Alafim. Kevin Shebeshem Avaya Zerel Kolulim Asara Shemus Avaya Dema. Because in this name, he says, Yekavin Shebeshem Avaya, this, you're going to have 10 Maz in it. But the Ale, apparently has been explained, Shtei Drachim Bebir Madua Haim Asara Shemos Ye'un Sham, so we'd have to go backwards and remember. So he says, Lahavlia Osam Eser Domim. So what's the idea of generating these 10? Is in order to be absorbed into them the 10 bloods that we've been talking about. So you become in Lahavlia be'elu hasara shemus ma. So you have these 10 shemus of ma. Eser hasara domim. So he said b'shem rivua d'shem akia. So what is the domim? It's the rivua d'shem akia. Ha'odam dam, which comes to the gematria of dam. And what are these? What is this? These are levushim of chasad and gevoros that we find in das. The El explained later up above, Barichos, Shebeshas Galus Mitzrayim, that when we came to the time that we were going to exile, Lo He'ira Bezecha Levushach HaChasad v'Gevoros, there was no shining of levushim for the chasad and gevoros. But then afterwards, so now though, coming out of Mitzrayim, then we have to get them into the Avarim of Zeranpin. That's what happens during Sphira. So since we understand that Sephiros are all from Havayas Dema, so then we say we're at the Kavanah here to swallow up these 10 Akias, and we have 10 Akias in a Revua form, Shehem Asara Damim, which are the 10 Damim that we're talking about, Betoch Asara Shemus Avaya, and they go in to the name of Avaya Dema, and we know this from our Siddur, Shehem Asara Spheros, the Zeranpin, which are 10 Spheros of Zeranpin. Now, I haven't opened up the side book, and so I'll just keep reading then. Hello, Adashalo. So the question that I have over there is that in any place that you see it, well, I'll just see if I can get it out real quickly. I think there's only 7 of them. So he says there's 10, so I'm a little confused about how you do that, because we're only going to Chabad Chagdam, and then in there, huh?
Where are you?
Where am I? In the little blue book?
What page? No, I don't have the blue book.
Oh, you do have the blue book. Okay, well let's.
Don't have.
You
No,
do.
I don't have.
You don't have.
No.
Which do you have? The other one?
Yeah. What are you reading from just now?
You mean I didn't tell you the place? I was reading.
Find it there.
We're on page.
Get there.
I was reading on page Reish Bet.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, I'm terribly sorry. So I'm, a little bit disorganized because I'm running today. I'll be down on Miami Beach sometime today. Okay, so that's where I've been reading. And basically we got to the part where we're talking about Havlos Adam. And explained what the dam is. The dam is the revuah of Akia. So I was going to say that I have a question about it. He says there were 10 avayas. So should I start over? I don't want to hurt me.
No, fine.
Okay, so he says, let's go to number Samach because I forget where we are. That is the Das Zeranpin, who is Sarah Midos. It's 10 Midos. Chamisha Chasana Chamisha Gevuros, as we know, and they're a lot of times listed in the Rishash as 7. There's 7 of them. But here he says 5 and 5. And the Yisara Damim and the Iskarim Haim Levusha Mochin the Das. So the Damim are mochin, are Levushim, of the mochin that are in this Das. The Kemen Shebemuach Hadas Yeshna Chamisha Chasana Chamisha Gevuros. V'lechein v'lekol echad ve'echad mechem yesh levush b'fnei atzmo. So each one of them has to have its own levush. Nimsa sheyeshna b'sara damim. So therefore the damim. Now a little confusing here to me. He says that a little confusing to me is the fact that he says that this is a levush for the mochin. In the third line, he said levush mochin the das. Then he switches and he says it's a levush. Also becomes a levush for the chesadim v'gedavur sadas. So I'm thinking that when he says it's levush or lemochin, I think he means to say it's the chitzoniat. That he think it's going to say that. He said the Penimius of Ima is what you're talking about, which is the revua. So I'll Sefirat Haomer to Kavin Baroshe Tevis Sefirat Haomer. So let's look at the first letters of the word Sefirat Haomer. El Shem Adni Ha'ol B'Gematria Samach. So therefore we see that the Rosh tables come to that number. V'ra'inyan hu is Sha'al Mamshichin Shefa Al Chazah. So the idea is here when you say Sefirat Haomer, those the first Rosh tables is to give you a hint that it's going to the Nuk as well. Kachana Tzarich L'Hamshik Gam Came El Nukva. So this is a kavanah that you can have on that on the first 2 letters there. He says, "Baramiras tevis Sefirat Haomer tzarok lakavin lahamshach shefa alanok." Kamosh hamshachnu lazad, just the same way that we extend it down to Zeranpin. Rei tevis Sefirat Haomer. So he says, Roshi tevis Sefirat Haomer heim samach and hey, which is the number of Adni, a communion shem Adni shehu benuk. So now he's going to go on and continues laying this. He says, Haomer heim asara Acharayim the Akia. So the word Haomer, Hanikra Asara Damim, which is called Sara Damim. Now how would he say like this? The word, the gematria of the word Haomer. He wants to say that it's a gematria of, I don't know, let's say, B'tevis Haomer Yakavan Shehi Meremes the Bechinas Asara Damim. He said Kamosha Yavur, as we're going to explain. He says V'amnam. He says Ata B'cham Shachas Toch Zeranpin V'nivloyim Bo. So now we have these Damim, which is the Acharayim of Ima, coming down into Zeranpin and being absorbed there. V'naasim Bo B'china Penimium, and they become Penimius, is what happens. V'eina B'chinas Dam Ella B'yosher. So what happens is when it gets to the Zeranpin, it's not dam anymore. It's an akia in osher. V'na'asach asar shemush al akia becomes v'hugematria kaf aleph. Now let's see what he's talking about here. He says hine elo asar damim. He says these 10 damim. Hey asar shemus akia b'revua. Okay, so we said that before. Then he shows it to us. Ha'ol adam. So why should they be in a revua who asara damim their clothing on the azim yisod the ima that are made out of the yisod of ima. And where's the yisod of ima? Inside of the das is their anpin. Hamalvishim, and what do they cover? Actually, these things. So he says they come in. This is the I guess he would say the Acharayim of the moach of that's going to the. I got to get my words straight. Anyway, it's an Acharayim. And then Acharayim winds up Malvishim, Achasadev, Agavurasha, Bamuach Hadas, Maluvit, Biyisoda, which is also inside of her Yisod, Vihidach of a Klalchus, so it's like this, inside of Yisod, it's a Das. Let's see, Yisod is carrying Das in it. And the Das has these, and the Acharayim of that Yisod is going to penetrate into Das, and it's going to become a Levush for the Chassadim Gevuros, which are in the Rishash Siddur are 7, not 5. B'Yisod of Hinach Abaklalhu, Shechaba B'Chinach HaMispashetes, parts of Elyon, B'tocha parts of Tachton, Hu Rak B'Chinas Chitzonius, V'Acharayim Shal Elyon. So the part that actually goes in, what do you always have? You have the Chitzonius of the upper, goes in, it becomes a Penimius of the lower, and so here's this Dam, or this Gematria 44. Nimsa Shechal Levushim and Na'asim Yisod Ima, so the Levushim that are made out of this Yisod of Ima, Heim B'Bechinas Acharayim de Ima, they're the Acharayim de Ima, became in She'ima, he Besod Shem Akia, and since she's an Akia, Nimsa Shehem Acharayim de Akia, behind the Revua Akia. So she's Akia. Amna Maklalhu, the Ma Shehu Bechinas Hitzonim, so Hitzonius, so what the rule is like this: whatever is the aspect of Hitzonius, klapi parts of a Elyon, huba b'china penimios, klapi parts of a Tachton. So that's what I just said. B'kevin shuhu mispasha b'socha Tachton, and now it's inside of the Tachton. L'lechein avsha klapi ima he b'china Acharayim. Mikol makom shalavusha chabomuchim niknasim el lazah. But now that they're coming into Zeranpin, Na'asim sham hashemos lebechinas panim, because so he said, oh, okay, they started out as an Acharayim, but now when they come into Zir Anpin themselves, they're not an Acharayim anymore, they're a panim. The Hain Shemos Ekia b'Yosher, so they're going to be an Ekia, just a straight up Ekia. Now what he mean is Shakal Echad, so he says I call Echad Ola b'Gematria Kaf Aleph, so now we have all of them with the Gematria of 21. So if you make it into a milui, then the Aki, of course, then the Meki is going to be 10 letters. Osius v'harechabechu kale. So the 10 letters added on to the gematria 21 is going to be 31, which is the name Kale. So this appears, all of this appears in our siddur, or in the little blue book. Shem Ekia B'Yosher B'Milui, as we see it like this. This is a milui of Ekia in Yosher. Yesh Bo Osara Osius is at 10 letters. Of Yache they b'misbar Ekia Pashut. So if we put it together with the Ekia Pashut, Ha'ola Kaf Aleph, Ola Lamed Aleph, Shuhu Shem Kale. Now in the Sefirat Tzniuta, we're working with that name too. V'nicha b'savar shemus Kale, him b'gematria Haomer. So 10 subs. Haomer is a number 310. So that's 3 times Kale. So he says now you have an idea of what. So you have Sefirat Haomer. So the first Roshi tables makes telling us a hint that it has to go to the Nook. Over here we see that the word itself, Haomer itself, is a gematria 10 times Kale. Nimsa shel damim and niskarim acha shenitnesu l'zer anpin na'asa sham l'asar shemas Kale v'asar shemas Kale olim b'gematria Haomer. So which is gematria of 310, which is Haomer. Now let me see. I was going to go down to Amud Gimel, Ayin Gimel. V'tikaven l'hamshech mishem Kale haniskar. Hayotze b'shem Ekia ka'amor, which is going to come out of this name Ekia because it'll be 10 of them. El Shem Adni, and that's going to go to the name Adni. Hanirmes b'rosh tevus Sefirat Haomer. So there's a little view that you could get in our siddur. Ata mashlim levoyach gavona sheyesh lekaveh b'tevus al Sefirat Haomer. Dehine le'el b'tevus avaya. So up above we said when you say the word Baruch Atah Hashem, Hamshachtor es asaras damim shehem acharayim de Ekia. So this causes that hamshachah. So he says she is pashto b'saras shemus vaya de ma, that should go into the 10 different names of the vaya of ma. Ma, I guess that is the Havaya that it will be going into Zeranpin. That's his code, I guess. The Havaya the Ma. V'sham heim na'asim shemus ekia pishutim, but then they change. They change over to an ekia pishutim because the Penimi. Shehem Sarah Shemus Kale, Kanizkar, which is the 10 names Kale that we mentioned. Yakav the Hamshik as the Sarah Shemus Kale, Halalu El Hanuk. So then you have to have, that's that Samach and the Hay that we were talking about. Shehi Shem Adni Kanoda. Venir Mezech Kavon, the Zukha Baroshe Tevas Sefirat Haomer, so we said that. So he says, which is Olim Gematria Adni, which comes to the Gematria Adri Va'omer. So you take Adni and you say Va'omer, who minion the Sarah Shemus Kale, which refers to the 10 names of Kale, and the Mshachim al Nook, which now are going to go to the Nook. And we'll finish up here. V'az tihi abba Kale Adni Kanoidus, and then you're going to have these two names going together, Kale, and then going into Adni. Agashanim Shachim Elu Shemus Kale Lanuk Anikras Adni. Nimsa sheyesh ba'ata shnei shemus Kale and Adni. So that appears also in our little siddur. Okay, let me stop this.